Howdy gamers. Back with the third devlog. Before we get started, I just want to say a couple of things. First off is that and this might have been said at some point, but as you guys have noticed, these have been coming out weekly. I'm going to probably keep doing that as long as it is something that is feasible, but the longer I go through with development stuff, the longer things are going to take. At a certain point they're not going to come out at the same pace, and it might get a little more sporadic. And another thing I wanted to kind of talk about is I was staggering out kind of ideas and commentary stuff into these devlogs as why I'm not doing game development. As you guys know, I am a gamer. I am very proud to be a gamer. But something I decided not to do was not really to touch game development. And I briefly covered, I think at some point, that I think working in the game industry would be hell. Like, I'm not obviously a professional in this field, but the bit of research I've done and from what I've heard, it seems like probably by far the worst thing to do in the field of programming is to be a game developer. It seems like, whereas in the rest of it, you're paid quite well, there's pretty decent quality of life. All of a sudden, you're working what seems to be third world country slave labor whenever you're trying to make a fucking video game. And that's just because there's so many people that care about video games that so many people want to make it and they want to use their skills towards that. But I really don't have any interest in doing those like 80-hour weeks and then burning myself out and leaving companies at random. That's something that doesn't really interest me much. And also something that I also wanted to talk about was that with this, your ability to enjoy what you're making does not actually really hold that strong of relevance towards how much you enjoy using the product that you are making. While that's pretty awesome and that's a pretty cool pro, especially if you can find something that you're both very happy with making and something you're very happy using, I don't actually know how common that case is in regards to most professional programmers. And I know for me personally, I can look at a lot of the work I'm going to have to do for game development, and it actually doesn't sound as fun to me as like the project I talked about with the crypto trading bot, which I'm going to work in at some point. Like that stuff would involves a lot more like algorithm work and a lot more mathematical heavy stuff. A lot of stuff where I don't have to worry as much about like GUIs and user experience. Which isn't where my interest is in. Like, I don't want to make pretty graphics. I don't want to have to worry about making music. I really just want to work on the actual code itself, because that's what personally, the bit I've done that is personally fun for me. Maybe you can get some shitty art major to work on the rest of it. But my crippling autism makes it so that way I'm not really too interested in that kind of stuff. I think just talking about that stuff briefly, though, I'm going to go ahead and now get into learning Python syntax, which I'm going to do via starting the... Actually, today I'm going to start reading the Automate the Boring stuff. But yeah, let's get into it. I'm going to randomly talk about some shit just because it's what I'm feeling right now. There are certain days that are like gold star days, which is a fucking thing I've taken from Clicks Phillip, where like you're incredibly productive that whole day, and there are certain days where you can get some things done better than others. I have spent the last week pretty much 24/7 working on productive shit. Like I got like 40 minutes edited of footage. I put out 2 videos. I spent all today and yesterday, all of my free time I spent editing. Then I spent all my free time before that kind of recording, getting stuff set up and programming. And Saturday, I'm kind of sitting down to start program after I spent all my day editing. Then I went to help my parents move for a bit, and I immediately come back and try to program, where there's certain days it's like, holy fuck, I am tired. Like, I'm done. And so I have this like mental debate in my head where it's like, do I push through this and do subpar work and learn subpar, or like give myself an afternoon off? Which for a normal person, it's like, settle the fuck down, just like come back to it tomorrow. But I have a bad problem of, if I let myself get like one afternoon off, I've got a bad habit of like, fuck it, I'll do it tomorrow. And then when tomorrow comes, like, man, I'm still pretty tired, I'll do it tomorrow, and I'll keep holding it off. But like, once I get started, usually I work on it. But I have a problem like today, where even when I get started and I get motivated enough to like turn on my music and start working on it, that still like my brain isn't learning. Like, all of my energy to learn things is entirely sapped. And like, I've spent the last, I think, 40 minutes. I read I read this. I literally read these two reviews, and that because like I've had to like I've like started my music and I'd be like start fucking banging out. And then I'll be like, all right, I'm ready to get to work. And then like 5 seconds later, I'm like, maybe I should play some MTG. And I'm like, I'll open up my fucking MTG. And I'm like, dude, I need a little bit of a break. I deserve a break. Let's play some Magic the Gathering. I'm like, no, 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 no. The fuck are you doing, dickhead? Dickhead, close out of that. What are you doing? I'm like, man, I'll try to read. All right, cool. I'll read the second review and I'll read that. And I'm like, man, you know, I haven't played RuneScape in like a week. I really want to play RuneScape, dude. Why can't I just play some RuneScape? Like, my body's fighting right now. It's been so hard. I've spent 40 minutes. And then I'm like, fuck it. You know, I'll watch this random ass video about cooking mochi. Like, after I close out a RuneScape and I get like through this second
your
review,
full potential with the untapped deck tracker.
I'll get through all that, and then I'm like, let's watch some dog ass cooking videos. Let's like
together and throw it in.
Like, let's watch these fucking people cook shit. Like, yeah, dude, really productive. So I watched like 10 minutes of that. So I'm like, wait, fuck, I need to be working on shit. Like, I am like an incredibly retarded ADD child. It's just like I'm just completely sapped of energy. So fucking tired. Like, I feel physically tired. So I'm like, maybe I should go lay down for a bit. But no, I keep trying to push through it. Holy shit. I wish I could just be like a normal person. I could just like work on it a couple hours a day. The problem is I have days where like I can work like 16 hours straight, and then I have days where like I'll be productive for like 8, and then I'll kind of tap out. It's one of those 8 days. This is not a gold star day, but I've had a really productive week. I don't know. I am overthinking the living fuck out of all of this. A normal person would have even had this fucking massive eternal dialogue that I'm having right now about it, and they would just do whatever. Oh, and my brain is scuffed. Also, I'm starting the recording really quick. I'm 90% sure that me recording to rant about it was another way for me to subconsciously find a way to procrastinate getting to work on this. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I need to figure out a schedule. With streaming, I'm still going. Alright, it's 2 days later after what. So I didn't expect to take what ended up. I didn't write a single line of code in 4 days, which is bad. I'm not gonna make a habit of that. But I think I overworked myself pretty hard, and then I ended up getting busy with a lot of the IRL stuff I was talking about. So I wasn't home a lot. Man, I have no idea what's wrong with my brain anymore. I think it's because I've been out of university for years, and I've been out of any like sort of proper schooling, and I've been in like blue collar shit for a while. But like when I get my hands on something, I can learn it quite well. But my brain has become so unadapted to what I was used to, which is like reading a text and like working with it and understanding it. So I am like having a lot of trouble keeping focused, which is not normal for me at all. Usually once I got my head on something, I can really stick to it. But like I really want to start programming shit, but I'm going to force myself to start reading stuff and reading through it. Because I just need to like work that part of my brain again. It's also better long term because it's like there's going to be plenty of other shit where I need to read and then try to comprehend instead of just randomly trying shit out, because certain concepts I'm not just going to be able to figure out for myself. So this will be a good practice to getting back to like reading a textbook and working with it. But holy shit, I am being brutally reminded how long it's been. So yeah, I don't know. Stay in school, kids. So I was fucking around. I got sidetracked. I fucked around with Visual Studio Code. Before this, the little bit of stuff I was doing in the Windows PowerShell, which it makes me want to harm someone. And I think if I continued using PowerShell, you guys wouldn't have seen another devlog, and the closest thing you would have gotten to another Funny Mike guide would have been seeing me in the news for committing some sort of mass atrocity. So I spent a while getting the Windows subsystem for Linux. I think is what this means, working, and I got so that way I can work in like a Linux terminal, which is far better. But I was quickly reminded how much Windows upsets me, because let's say, for example, you're like, oh, I want to install, you know, a thing. So what do? On Linux, you just like, on, for example, Ubuntu, like I've got this subsystem on right now, you just do sudo apt-get install, and you type the thing, and you install the program. But with Windows, you can go fuck yourself, because if you want to install this, you have to like open the Microsoft Store, which who the fuck even uses this? You install Ubuntu, and then after you install Ubuntu, you install Windows subsystem for Linux the same way, and then you go into your fucking settings, and you're like, all right, I need to go to app, and then I need to go to programs and features. I need to turn Windows features on and off. Then I need to scroll down until I'm at Windows fucking subsystem for Linux. I need to check this box in this random settings menu for some fucking reason. And then I need to restart my fucking computer. And then I need to figure out why it's still not working, and then create like, oh my god, I hate, why is Windows so garbage? Why? Also, I had to like not sign into Windows 100 times because I don't have a Windows account, and it keeps like prompting me to log in. Suck my nuts, Bill Gates. I'm not fucking logging into Windows. Huh, I'm gonna get onto Linux pretty soon, probably sooner than I thought. Maybe as soon as I get through this fucking textbook. All right, so the last couple of
Hey, yo, turn down the music.
shit. The last couple of days have not been great. Not had like a crazy amount of motivation. My degrading psyche is something that is not a whole lot of fun. So I noticed in the last like 6 months where I will go through nothing like really serious like I've seen with people personally I know, but I will go through like depressive and manic episodes, and I can have weeks like last week where I spent every single waking second either working on programming stuff, recording stuff, setting stuff up, or editing. Then I have days like these last 3 days where it becomes incredibly exhausting to do anything. And especially while pushing that through, like pushing through that at work, it becomes difficult to like come home and actually work on stuff. That is most likely some sort of something that's similar to what bipolar people deal with, but instead of with the stuff I have, there's a lot of weird things. Like it makes me worried, because I can't really afford mental health help and stuff like that, and I can't really get on like stay on the services that I was on before. So it's strange because with schizophrenia, you're almost on like this clock where it especially early while it's developing, like how it is for me. And I'm still not 100% sure about that diagnosis, but I have pretty much almost everything to a T except delusions of grandeur. And I've had the diagnosis before, even though I don't this second, at least last time I saw a doctor. But and I try not to self-diagnose, but it seems pretty apparent that that is what I'm dealing with. And there's a lot of, because it's been romanticized so much in like media and the news. There's a lot of like functioning schizophrenics. It's like it's a shitty mental illness and it sucks, and it provides definitely some of the like extreme cases you'll hear about. There's a lot of regular people who deal with it and live a normal life, and you don't even really know they a lot of times know they even have it. Like your grandpa could be a schizophrenic and you wouldn't even fucking know. But it does also like ignite another fire under my ass because it's good that I get a better job. That way I can afford some, like a job that's good enough where I can afford like mental health stuff, because I can't really afford the recurring payments that stuff kind of accrues. Like I have health insurance, like the basic kind, which is like enough so that way I don't get massively fucked over by an emergency like I was before. That's really what it's for. It's not the type of health insurance that covers me enough to the point where I can afford regularly receiving treatment. I don't know. Man, fuck our medical system. God, I'm not going to get into it, but Jesus Christ. No, I don't have like a specific amount of time to like get my life together and be in a better place than I am now. But I don't have infinite time. I don't know how much time I have specifically, but I know it will become progressively more difficult the longer it takes. So I need to find a way that it is the most intensive but yet sustainable way for me to work on this stuff. And I think the 3 hours a day is kind of it. But it becomes problematic when I'm like having days where I feel like I'm manic and I can do everything all day, and then I have days like the last couple of days where it becomes incredibly difficult to do anything. But consistency is really important, because it's days like the last couple where I was like, man, I had these videos scheduled at the time of recording, none of them have even came out yet, and I'm like, hey, maybe I should just unlist those, be like, ah, never mind, I'm not doing that, and just like stop programming stuff. Like I was regretting getting into this stuff pretty hard yesterday. Like kept having thoughts like, fuck, what did I get into? Like I can't stick to anything long term. Why did I get into this? How have I not learned from the other 1,000 times that I could never stick to anything? So I think it's also quite important to me personally to prove myself wrong in that throughout my life I've never dedicated myself something long enough to where it becomes like a really proper success. So I'm lucky to have the YouTube channel thing too. It at least has something. Like even the last 2 years of my life have been a little hectic, but I've still had like this and I'm working on this. And I've had times where I've not uploaded a lot, but I've came back to it. Oh yeah, also something to talk about. Really high likelihood that I'm going to put Linux on my computer soon. The only thing on Windows that I cannot do on Linux, I can pretty much do all my gaming and stuff. There's a program on Windows called Little Big Mouse. This is something that essentially... Alright, well, slight update. I am going to not read this book entirely because I think I might blow my brains out. This is just something that doesn't really seem like it's incredibly useful to me because I already kind of understand everything. I had to refresh myself a little bit. Like, I kind of don't deserve this because it took me 10 minutes or something the other day to realize that they forgot parentheses around a print statement, which was even miserable for me to watch myself struggle through with editing. But my capabilities are at least higher than that. And I understand everything up into chapter 12. So I understand 1 through 11 because I've done some stuff with Code Academy and I have other experience. But then about here, I don't know so much, and I don't really want to read all of this. First thing, I want to put Linux back on my computer. Kind of keep running into issues and my own stupid shit where I just want to be back on Linux. I miss being on Linux. So yeah, I will see you guys next when I am on Linux, and I'm going to be doing I'm going to be back on Pop OS. So slight explanation, Arch can kind of go fuck itself. I like Arch itself, and I don't think it matters that much. Alright, so I'm back on Windows. I got up to some really spurg shit and I wasted a lot of time. In general, I'm gonna try to learn from the last couple of days. I spent like time doing technically shit that isn't a complete waste of time. Because at first I was like not programming a lot and I was just like watching like programming like documentaries on YouTube. I don't know, I guess off to commentary gesture because this is the end of the week. I'm really upset with myself. I'm not that upset. I've learned a lot, but I don't know how I'm gonna make this into a video. I don't know. I'm gonna commentary gesture time. So the last week have been a really bad in terms of productivity. I fell into like so many different traps and I ended up wasting a whole bunch of time. So if I go over what I've done this week, I can see that I just to start off the week, I kind of tried to start reading through the book and then I kept like going through it. I'm like, I don't really need to know this. Like I already know a lot of it. And then I was like, fuck it. And then after that, I started like binging like guides. I don't like YouTube guides. That was actually one of the reasons I made my original Funny Mike videos, is because I hate YouTube guides. I think almost all of them are incredibly dog shit. Even the ones other people think are good. I think the way that people make guides is pretty fucked. I've only found like a couple of people I enjoy, and even the one dude I enjoyed, which is this guy called Fireship.io, or Fireship or something is the channel name. I ended up like watching every single one of his videos. Like I was going down the rabbit hole of like watching guides for how to use web AP or how to like use web frameworks, and it's like what am I fucking doing? But I don't need to. That it took me like 3 days until I realized what in the fuck. So the only thing I came away from that I feel like isn't entirely bad is that Rust interests me. Something about like the more lower level code goes, the more it makes my brain happy because then I can try to put that to actual physical projects more easily. I think my interest long term might end up actually being more towards the computer engineering stuff instead of computer science. But regardless, this is like way far future shit, and I can't get a job as a computer engineer without a degree. So I would need to work into that through a job as like a computer science or whatever. It's something with like programming, like just code monkey shit, which is really what the only thing I could realistically do. And then after I ended up going through a whole bunch of wow, why did I rant about Rust so much? The fuck is wrong with me? So, and then after that, I was like, okay, whatever. I'm doing like stuff in Linux, no, Windows subsystem for Linux or whatever. Linux sub, the fuck, god damn it, what's it called? Hold on, where's my terminal at? Yeah, Windows subsystem for Linux, like WSL, and I was like, well, if I'm gonna start doing stuff on Linux, like I'm already comfortable in Linux, why don't I use Linux? And then I fell in the trap of I was just like installing Linux distros like a spurg. Like originally I was like, okay, whatever, I'll just put Debian and GNOME on it. And then I was running into multiple issues on a Debian install. It just straight up was taking dumps on my GPU. Apparently, and this is weird, Debian has a lot of issues with having like not breaking your display drivers when you have an AMD card, which is really fucking weird. Like I have an AMD card. I originally got that over an Nvidia, other than I think it was better price per performance at the time. This was before GPUs went to shit with their pricing, and I knew it had better support on Linux, and I was able to use open source drivers and stuff, so I got an AMD card. And I figured out, oh, Debian, it's got some fucker shit. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's weird. I want to be using a distro that I can recommend other people who have never used Linux before to use. So I was like, okay, whatever. Because Debian's immediately breaking shit, I can fix it. All you had to do was, it was like automatically blacklisting some drivers for installing, like some AMD drivers for some reason. So I just had to like change some shit over in like some file, and it fixed it. But I was like, whatever. And so I'm like, okay, maybe I'll try to use Arch. And I was reminded, oh, my motherboard still doesn't have support for installing Arch. It is impossible for my motherboard to detect any networks during an Arch install. It's something weird with some like kernel level shit. I don't understand it. The same exact issue happens with Gentoo. So that's very rare though. That's not something common. I'm like, okay, whatever. I like I forgot that. And so then I went to install Pop OS, and I was like, okay, I like Pop OS, and then I was reminded about some, and I'll probably keep some of this rant, is that I really fucking hate how Linux handles, or that Linux doesn't really have great per monitor scaling, because I have two 1080p monitors and a 4K monitor, and my 4K monitor, which is really nice and awesome on Windows, turns into my by far most dog ass monitor on Linux, because with the I have two options. It's either ass and I don't scale at all, or I scale it and the scaling's really blurry and hurts my fucking eyes. So it's almost like at the point where it's worth unplugging this like $400 monitor I bought, which is not what I want to do. And also, like, there's the new Pop OS update made some changes that I don't like. It kind of, I think it was trying to make it look like Windows 11. Like, I don't know what the fuck they were thinking, because straight out of the box, the last version of Pop did so much shit right with the UI, and they changed a couple of things, and it was not very difficult to, like, make it back into what I like, but that when I hit that point with the per monitor scaling, I was like, what in the fuck am I doing? I spent 2 days fucking with Linux shit and I was like trying to fix shit and like customize shit in the way I like it, until I realized, like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Because at that point, after watching guides and doing Linux stuff, I spent 5 days not writing a single line of code. Now, I've watched a whole bunch of guides and I copy and pasted some code, but I spent 5 days and I was losing time. Like, I was just wasting. So I'm like, okay, I was like, fuck. I created a system image of my Windows before I went over to Linux. So I was like, whatever, I'm getting back on Windows. I'll do this shit way later, but like, I'm getting caught up in some weird shit where I'm being incredibly unproductive. And like, it's like where instead of, you're in high school and instead of doing your homework, you clean your room. Like, it's good you cleaned your room, like you're doing something productive, but it's not what needs to get done now. And your priorities are out of whack. And I was at least lucky enough to where I recognized that, even though it took me 5 days because I'm a fucking retarded person. And I was like, okay, whatever, I need to be back on Windows. I need to be back in a place I can write code. And I spent the 6th day, I spent 1 day, I only had like an hour because the new MTG expansion came out, and I wanted to, and I woke up late, so I wanted to play it. And yeah, I don't regret that. That was like an off day. That was an easy day because, you know, I've been playing a little bit of MTG in my free time, and I had a good time with that. I don't regret that, and I'm going to hopefully learn from this. There's a chance that this ends up getting cut, like large chunks of this. I have, through ranting, because I've done a lot of ranting. There's an hour and 12 minutes of footage, and I know I didn't get anything accomplished. This is all just me ranting about dumb shit. Come on. But a lot of it's repeating myself, and a lot of it is shit that really isn't gonna stay. This is definitely, I hope, I'm going to still put this out probably, but it's going to quite easily be the worst video. out of the series because it's going to be accomplishing nothing. It's going to be like a devlog where I'm doing dumb shit, which is kind of what they already have been. I realize that. Love you, gamers, though. I'm done ranting now. Mwah.